Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today I want to talk about the possibility of Netflix's The Witcher being rebooted in the future. Now this is coming from Bounding into Comics, and before I get into this article here, I just want to briefly touch on why this is being discussed as a possibility at all. For those of you who didn't watch it, Netflix's The Witcher Blood Origin was, well, it was something else. It was one of the worst shows to come out in 2022. A perfect Christmas Day send-off to what has been an absolutely terrible year for television and film. The show got ratioed into oblivion. It had next to nothing to do with the source material. I actually go far more into detail about this show in a video I made that's on my channel. Go check it out if you want a much more comprehensive, long-form look at what happened with this show. Anyways, short version, it wasn't good. And of course, with its release being shortly after Henry Cavill's announcement that he would be leaving the show, fans were already unhappy with the show's direction and where it seemed to be heading. So what Blood Origins really seems to be is a look at what happens when you give, or really what happened when you give the writers full reign over what happens in the story. They almost completely ignore the source material, which, as many of us know by now, is what they've basically wanted to do from the start. Henry Cavill seemed to play a big role in keeping the writers', let's say, creative impulses at bay and making sure that they stayed true to the books, which were, after all, what the show is based off of. So Blood Origin, it seems, is the best the team is capable of when given full creative control, and it's a nightmare. It's actually quite interesting to speculate on what's going to happen with this show. I've been a fan of The Witcher for a long time. I read the books, I played the games, so obviously, like many of you, I'm pretty angry at what they did to this show, but with critics and fans alike agreeing that the show is complete crap, it begs the question, what is Netflix going to do? Like, they can't just keep going and pretend like this didn't happen. Or maybe they can. Anyways, let's get into this article here. So the article is from Bounding into Comics, but the reboot theory is coming from a YouTuber, the Sporking News podcast, who talked about the theory on a Bounding into Comics live stream. So there you go. They talk about the end credit scene where Avallac'h somehow ended up 1,500 years in the future, seemingly by way of the monoliths, and we see the scene from The Witcher Season 1 where Ciri is playing dice. In The Witcher's first season, we see that she feels eyes on her and looks to see that it's actually Geralt watching her before she knew who he was. However, in Blood Origin, it's the exact same scene, but instead Avallac'h is watching her. So this could in fact just be a super lazy way of showing us that Avallac'h is indeed present in modern times, as we know he is from the source material, as if that matters to the writers. Like, they could have just cut that scene from the show instead of filming something new. But this is not what the Sporking News believes. He believes that this is the show's way of telling us that they will be rewriting Season 1. He goes on to cite more evidence, such as showrunner Lauren Hisrich's interview with Entertainment Weekly, where she says, quote, "He's a slightly different Geralt than we expected. Now, by the way, that's an understatement," end quote. Now, in this interview, she's referring to Season 4. If this is indeed the case, it's just another in a long line of bad decisions by the creators of this show. I personally don't think we're ever going to see a Season 4 of The Witcher after the debacle that was Blood Origin. I assume we'll probably see Season 3, and that'll be it, but that's just my opinion. Obviously, there's been a ton of reboots in recent years, most of which far worse than the original IPs, and over these years I often see theories about rebooting the reboots, like Disney destroys Star Wars might be a reboot, Amazon destroys Lord of the Rings, needs to reboot. However, to reboot a failed attempt at a remake, those corporations would have to admit defeat. They'd have to admit that they were wrong and that they failed and that they are going to try harder, which I feel like a lot of us would actually be okay with, but that seldom occurs. However, I certainly wouldn't put it past Lauren Hisrich and her team to try and reboot The Witcher Season 4 using some multiversal jargon, and guess what? We'll probably not like it. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Anyways, thanks for watching the video, guys. Please subscribe. I really enjoy making these, so if you could subscribe and like the video, it would really help me out. Thanks a lot, and have a great day.